Howdy, Beefalo Bart here, and welcome. It's going to be a little bit of a short stream, and as the title suggests, is Project Paragon. Good news, bad news. And while that's being the case, and want to bring up a few things, the project is moving along quite lovely. So for listing the good news and bad news, since everybody likes to have good news, things are going along really well. I've been seeing a lot of progress from my team. These guys are really kicking butt, and we're making some good things happen. A lot of promising new talents joining the team every day, and really good new map maker that's joined the team. And so far, so good. I like what I've seen from his work, and we're working on a combination of some maps here and there. Hi guys, thanks for joining. I guess what I can do while we're doing this is I'll go ahead and open up the voice chat on my Discord. So if anybody wants to hop in there, or if they want to post a few questions here and there, I will answer them either way, from YouTube or from Discord. And if anybody's going to use voice, then, which actually I'll stick to text for right now. That way it's, you guys can at least have a chance to see what's being typed. Some of you may have noticed that the last day or so we've made a lot of restructuring on our Discord channel, and that's just to streamline a few things and make everything look a little nicer. Go ahead and make a quick announcement on my Discord. Alright, so yeah, dude, I know it's getting kind of late for you over there, so we'll try to keep it quick and lovely. So yeah, I was mentioning on the good news. Yeah, the good news is we've picked up some really good guys on the team. A new map maker is making some really good progress. How's it going on now? I laughingly told him that I was going to throw him under the bus and just throw him in the limelight. I won't mention any names because these guys are doing a great job, and I don't want anybody to necessarily bug everybody that's on the team. Guys, if you do try to contact me on Discord and I don't get back with you immediately, it's usually because I'm pretty busy with dealing with stuff in the background. The guys that are working on the team each have their own little individual piece of the pie or puzzle they're working on, and we've got one person that's making level 1 matches or maps. I've got guys that are working on individual components like the everything from turrets to NPCs to minions. The guy working on the minions has done a really good job. Everybody, I'm excited. I've got a lot of good people on the team, and they're turning in stuff left and right, and it's getting to the point where it's fun trying to keep up with all the progress. As for bad news, just want to cover one thing of bad news, and it's the only real bad news, and it's not really all that bad, is for those who don't know what the development cycle is like on a game, what you end up with is most AAA titles, and I'm not saying this is going to be a AAA title, but I'm saying it's not going to be, but when you're looking at something of this magnitude and the amount of detail and so forth that goes into it, most games take between 2 to 3 year development process. I know you guys are not wanting to wait 2 to 3 years to see a game that is essentially going to end in 1 month from today. So yeah, you guys don't want to have to wait for something. So what we're trying to do is we're going to try to get some steady progress updates every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is right now. I will do a sort of a progress report, a state of the game, what have you, just to kind of let everybody know that what's going on. Not everything in the background can be talked about, but and the whole idea of the bad news part is the majority of the work is actually being done behind the scenes, and you really don't have anything to look at. I mean, far be it for me to sneak something in that might actually be content that's being worked on by the team. I would never, leak any information or showcase anything that's not completed yet. Um, yeah, so anyway, so I would never do that. That would be terrible, right? So yeah, that being the bad news is there's not always something that I can throw in front of your guys' face to say, here, this is what it looks like now. Um, so yeah, you may not see any content videos, and that's just simply because a lot. Yeah, I know, right? A lot of the stuff that goes on is actually behind the scenes, and it would absolutely be almost as boring as watching me or listening to me talk for any more than 5 or 10 minutes. Um, yeah, yeah. If you're wondering why I have this a regular project sitting behind me, um, yeah, there's always Big Brother is watching me. So yeah, the project that I have sitting in front of me has nothing to do with the Paragon project whatsoever. Well, yes and no. I'm just using this as a scratching ground for fleshing out components and um, just building tools, setting up structures and things of that nature. Anything that I need to build, that I need to test on, I come into a blank project and I just screw around with stuff. So if I make a royal mistake, not a big deal. Um, I would like to showcase the number one map that's being developed right now. Um, I can talk about it briefly. My Paragon people that have been around the Paragon universe, I got them into it. And when I say I got them into it, is we actually have a development build that's specifically set up for me to be able to take something like a map that's just fleshed out, and a level 1 or a tier 1 map, essentially nothing but the terrain, the basic components with no materials, no textures, nothing but representations of how the map is going to be size and flow wise. And a bunch of us got together and excuse me, I need to get a mute button so I don't have to sneeze into the microphone. Yeah, with this template that I've got, it's multiplayer. So we can actually get into a multiplayer game together and walk around the map, and, 5, 6, 8, 10 of us at a time could be in the same map at the same time. And we can actually be looking for little details like, as you're walking through, you can, well, there's a gap between here and the floor, or thank you. There's a problem with this, or the map's too big or it's too small. And that lets us kind of get to where we can, find the issues before they become complete issues. As you can tell by the this is just one of the tools that I'm screwing around with that can help the guys set up for anything. It has a lot of different purposes. To explain what it does is, as you can see, that whenever you actually you press your left mouse button, if you're targeting a character, it'll tell you the name of the character, like dummy2, and then the actual vector coordinates of where it's located, the distance to where it is, and if it's a character or anything that has a skeletal mesh, it'll actually tell you what part of the mesh you actually hit. So for some of the stuff that I'm adding in, one of the things that I'm just adding in, I'm not sure how useful some of the stuff is going to be, but being able to get like the physics component, or the targeted physics component that you're actually working with, things like that. So there's tools being created that are used for, and yes, you don't see anything. You have to ignore my working on this. So with the little tools in the background to help out with creating things and whatnot, like I said, a lot of the stuff that's going on right now is completely boring and behind the scenes, and there's not pretty shiny, ooh, lovely things to work with. Have, however, been looking online and looking on YouTube and looking at other people's projects. And one of them that keeps getting brought up, I mean, I'm not going to plug somebody else's channel because, we're working on similar projects, but, you know, I'm not going to mention your names, Rocket. His stuff looks amazing, absolutely amazing. He's doing some really good work. There's a lot of people out there that's working with these assets right now, and with the fact that there's so many people working with these assets, you're going to see a lot of stuff popping up online, and it's the current topic, and it's awesome. It's good to look at, and some of the guys that are out there are doing some really, really good work. I mean, I'm not going to talk bad about somebody else's stuff because, no, I wouldn't be talking about Rocket Mania. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm a fan. His work looks good. I appreciate everything he's doing, and it looks great. So, yeah, I wish him the best of luck on his project. You know, it's good stuff. I mean, what can I say? Um, but we got some good people on my team as well, and I refer to them as my team. It's our team. They're made up of people from the Paragon community and some people that I've had on my team for quite some time, and we're all just kind of heading out stuff as we can. You know, if I can just get my potato farmer to do a little bit of work faster, then it'd be good to go. I've got some really good people on my team, and I can't say enough good things about them. You know, and they're spread all over the world. And so we tend to have some scheduling issues back and forth, which is why I like having the Discord channel so that we can keep in contact with each other, post messages, share things back and forth, or file sharing back and forth on getting things done. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm lucky to have a good team. What was I setting? I'm setting up the physics material. So on that, we've mentioned the good news. Things are going along great. We're picking up a lot of steam. We're getting a lot of new features working on, and yeah, that's great. And the bad news, the only real bad news that's going on right now is the fact that I don't have anything pretty and shiny other than that little screenshot that I flashed on the screen a moment ago. So I wish I had more visible stuff that I could show you, but it's all kind of boring to look at, and if there was more I could show you, I would. So kind of open up a little thing for a couple little questions. And again, guys, if you do try to contact me on Discord, or if you send me a Discord message, if I don't get to you within a normal time frame, it's because I usually have a lot of stuff going on, and I don't want you to be personally offended. So other than how I'm doing, I'm crappy. I'm crappy like always. So I mean, if you got any questions about any of the project stuff going on, things like that, let me know. All ears. It takes a couple seconds for everybody to get caught up there because there's usually a 2 to 3 second delay between what's going on here and what's going on the stream. Physics component, not material. Yeah, no questions so far. Well, I will say again, the first map we've got going right now, it does look awesome. I said quite a few of us got in last night and actually got into the map in a test build. Congrats, Lex. So everything's looking great on the map so far. Vicious is saying that as far as dev cycle, it's hard to do timing, but when y'all looking to be in an alpha, well, I mean technically it's all alpha until it gets put out, and you got all these different companies that will take a game and throw it on Steam. And I'm going to quote some content that was done by another really awesome freaking YouTuber, the Mighty Jingles. Awesome guy, great channel. Um, his topic, and I'm just going to bring up some points of that topic, was that every month, hundreds and literally hundreds of games are released on the Steam. Because of the new method, anybody can throw $100 at Steam and get a developer ID and be able to pop a game on the market in no time. So you get, example, last month there were close to 900 games released on Steam, and as he puts it, the majority of them sucked. And I'm not going to say bad things about other people's games, but the key point that he brought up was that they were essentially a conglomeration of thrown together asset packs just to get a game on Steam. And that does happen. People will just take a bunch of assets and slap them together and just throw them out there and say, hey, I made a game. So that's what we're trying to avoid before we say, okay, we have an alpha release. I don't want to really leak any information because I don't want to set a time frame in saying, oh, I'm going to have, this product ready for you guys to play on this date. I do have an internal goal. I will tell you a rough goal, but I'm not going to hard commit to saying, yes, it's going to be this particular date. I know that with the closure imminent of Paragon, it's going to be ending in 1 month from today. It would be an outstanding idea if I could have something playable to the point of, even if it's just one map with one character with all the abilities working and working as good as we can get them at that point, with a simple minion system where if it's nothing more than a cooperative mode with 5 players versus whatever bots that I can, come up with the AI and stuff for. If I could get one map with one character with all abilities configured and running with a 5-player versus bots, and get that out to you guys prior to the end of Paragon, I'm sure you guys would appreciate that, right? Does that kind of help answer your question a little bit? Yes, I would like to have more content in there, but I don't want to fall into that category of just slapping out an asset pack and saying, hey, look, it's a game. You guys would see right through it, and you would know that it was junk, and you guys don't deserve junk. You guys are already getting, and I'm not saying you're getting stabbed in the back by anybody because they're taking the game down. When it comes to Epic Games, I understand what their decision was, and not saying that I agree or disagree with it, but I can understand what they're going through. They're a big but not a big company at the same time, and they've got a lot of responsibilities. And if they have part of their dev team scattered on this and this and this and this on multiple different fronts and multiple different products, then that's not always a good thing. Whenever your top moving item is one particular game, in this case being Fortnite, they're just like, well, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take all of our personnel and we're going to shift them all over to work on Fortnite. That's good for them, but it's not good for the community. Yeah, I agree, Red State, and I don't want you guys to go through complete withdrawals, But I'm not saying that everything's going to be perfect in AAA title quality whenever, I do release something for you guys to look at. Just know that, there is a 2 to 3 year development process that usually goes on, and nobody wants to wait that long. So if I can, work together with my guys and get I would say what you call like a sample or a preview release or a demo release or something of that nature, um, maybe that might be acceptable. Yeah, it takes time to get a game done and get done correctly. And I don't want you guys to be disappointed, but I also don't want you to have to wait 2 to 3 years. Yeah, with a team of 100 to 200 people. Yeah, that's another good point. Um, got about a dozen guys. I gain people and lose people on a regular basis. I'm lucky to have the guys that I've got right now. And another syndrome that happens with the Unreal community and Unity community and game development community in general. Um, what you end up with is people who decide that, oh yes, I want to I want to become a game developer, and they want to jump in and they want to work on a project, and with that they're going to jump into a team and they're going to work really really hard for about a week, maybe 2 weeks, and they just kind of stop showing up. They don't turn in materials. They just don't do anything, and you know I understand. Some people just lose interest in a project and they just want to move along, and it's sad, but it's just normal. It's something you expect. So a team that's not being paid right now is also going to be gaining and losing members. Yeah, I know, right? um, so we're going to do what we can to get what we can out in a timely fashion to at least get that teaser demo and get you guys something to play around with. You know, I've got other projects that we kind of put on hold right now that some of the guys, we actually took a few minutes to, yes, oh my god, we stopped working on the game, so relax, it'll be okay. We actually went into one of my other projects, and unfortunately I grabbed the wrong version to upload. Sorry guys. So it still had more bugs than what the current version is that I have on here. I just hadn't uploaded it yet. We played around with one of my shooter demos, and we just kind of had a ball. Even though there were some bugs here and there in it, we were just able to bond together a little bit and shoot each other and get some frustrations out and just kind of unwind a little bit. Um, so I pull some of my older projects out and other game projects, and we just go around and just hammer things out and have a good time. But we're getting some work done. We're getting it done. And I can't expect everybody on the team to dedicate the time that I do. And I'm going to say, I spend a lot more time in front of this computer than I should be. And with that, I'm saying is, and the sad part of all that too is I will spend, and I have sat here for as much as 22 hours in front of this computer working with team members on this and that and everything else. I don't just build a project. I'm not here just only building this project, keeping my nose in front of Unreal Engine 4. Unfortunately, being the lead of a project, I get less development time than somebody who comes in and works part-time, 4 or 5, 6, 8 hours a week. So whenever it comes to stuff like that, these guys are getting more work done than I am because I'm having to spend 3 or 4 hours a day dealing with negotiations on things. I am in communications with about 6 different companies right now for funding and sponsorship and things of that nature. So I say, like, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the grounds, behind the scene that is, and things that you won't see, and things that aren't pretty or fun to look at. So, I mean, dumb things like this tool that I've been working on for, here and there. And especially since the fact that I don't really get all that much time to physically work on the project myself. I enjoy working on content. I like making this stuff. It's what I do as a hobby. But since I'm able to sit here 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and put as much time as I want to into this project, I'm blessed to have that ability. Then it lets me try to get things done. And like I said, unfortunately, I can't get things done for a lot of other reasons. And with the restructuring of the way things are on my Discord channel and the way that things are going to be run on my YouTube channel, is I'm going to try to get videos out for you guys. I'm going to try to still get back into doing some tutorial videos. I know I had a lot of interest on the center of gravity and the other aspects, and I really enjoy helping people. I really do. Yeah, so the multiplayer aspect of things. Yeah, I want every project that we do to be multiplayer. It doesn't matter if it's the Paragon stuff or if it's a giant pool table. So yeah, you're talking about adding in a camera system. The new menu system that I'm working on allows for, well, I'm not going to mention that right now. So you're wanting to do like a video system. I have done some things like that, and one of the things that will come down the road, it's not currently part of any mainstream part of the project, but one of the things that I do plan on adding in is whenever you go into a tutorial section for the game, then you'll be able to sit down and it'll actually queue up videos from YouTube, and it will automatically play, or you can play them from the list of tutorial videos to go along with an actual tutorial map system, where it'll actually show you the basic movement and whatever for the game itself. So I do want to include a good tutorial system so that you're able to not just jump into a game. And I've played some games where you first get into it and you end up looking at it like, I don't even know how to move. I don't know how to do this. How do I select my character? There's no reason why you should get into a game and not be able to figure out what it does or how to actually play the game. It's not fun. You might have bought a puzzle game, but you don't want to play the puzzle to be able to get to your puzzle. You're talking about being able to change your clothing and stuff. If I'm reading that correctly, then yes, there will be some character configuration and customization options, skins and things of that nature. So, but that'll be covered more later on. Like I said, with the feature of the tutorial section having both a gameplay area where you're actually being able to walk around on the map and perform different actions to learn them in a tutorial session, but there will also be videos being played that you can actually call up the video. Well, I can't remember, how do I do this ability, or how do I do this? What does that do? You'll be able to pull up a video and see them. And the good thing about it is they're actually YouTube videos, and they'll actually be playing from YouTube. So if you're not in the game, but you're trying to remember something from the game that was one of the abilities or whatever, you can actually go right here on YouTube and grab one of my videos and call it up and actually look at it that way. I did a video a while back where I showcased adding in videos to Unreal Engine 4 where you actually had a actual video that's stored as a MP4 file onto your project and adds to your file size. And that's cool for some things, but you don't want to tack on an 8 gigabyte video file. It's just going to weigh down the download size. And nobody likes big downloads, even though they may be necessary for things. Nobody really cares for all that. So if I can actually have them hosted on YouTube or another location outsourced, then you'll be able to actually stream them into the game instead of having it weigh down the download speed or download time for the actual game itself. So if anybody's actually interested in this whatever it is that I'm doing here with this tool that I'm creating, again, just to cover what this actually is, was I wanted a simple tool that I could use to compare things, to look at things. If I'm on a map and I want to try to figure out, well, I know that I need to make this turret have a range of 5,000 or 4,500 or whatever on the distance, I can actually look right here by aiming at something onto the ground or a distant target, see my distance to target and know, okay, well, that should work. So if I'm trying to find the radius of a turret to see if it's going to catch anybody that's moving through a certain location, then I can sit there at that location and say, well, if the turret radius is 5,000, then, and I'm just using a random number here, so if it's 5,000, then anything within a radius of 2,500 will be detected by that. And I could just sit there and find that radius. Or, if I want to look at a target, if I'm trying to set up collision boxes on a character, so if, say, you're using an attack and you want their arm to fall off or whatever, you can actually make sure that you're able to pinpoint a location of an actual socket name or bone name and know what you're actually hitting, and just whatever, the XYZ locations, just trying to compile as much data into this one tool as might be necessary, so that if we need this tool, we can just, activate it on our character and be able to walk around and go use it. It'll have its uses. May not be evident right now, but yeah, it'll be useful. So is there any more questions? We're at the 30-minute mark and had a couple questions, but I've covered the good news and the bad news. Nothing. Yeah. So ignore the actual project that I'm in. Like I said, this is not an actual project that I'm using for anything other than testing my tools out and whatnot. Main news was covered twice throughout the video, but I'll cover it one more time. Was the good news and bad news. The good news is things are running smooth. We've made a lot of changes to the Discord channel to streamline things and give a more professional appearance. Try to open up a few more channels here and there, close off some, redirect some content to make where our Discord channel is a little bit easier to look at. Restructure the team format a little bit. At one point, we were spread across several different teams, so I've pulled everybody back together again, and I'll still make one or two more changes here and there over the next couple of days. But so that's the Discord stuff. More good news is the first map has gone through an L1 screen, and I think it looked great. I grabbed the map from the developer on it, and I put it into one of our development build projects, and we utilized its multiplayer capability, and we hopped into it, and several of us ran around and were walking on the map. And again, that's where this it's handy to have a project like that, or a system like that, to where we can actually go into the map and walk around, take a look at it, look for, okay, your textures are stretched here, or you can fall through the world here, or this doesn't have collision, things like that. And so that's cool. We're able to get in there and take a look at that map. And my team is mixed with a pretty fair number of people who are on or players of Paragon, so they know what they're looking at. They know, okay, this map is the right size, or it's too big, or it's too small. So I rely on them for content on things of that nature. So yeah, that worked out great. So that's all part of the good news stuff. Bad news. The only bad news that I really have to convey right now, other than the fact that I need to get something to drink because I'm getting kind of parched today. Bad news is, well, even though there's a lot of progress going on, it's all behind the scenes. It's scripting, coding, it's features, it's content that doesn't show anything. If you were to look at the project, it would look no different for the most part. There are some things that you would be able to see, but for the most part, to keep things running smoothly, we try to keep things compartmentalized. So if I'm testing, the AI behavior tree for a minion, or a bot or something like that, it'll be on a blank map, something like this right here, and we're just going to be testing that AI behavior tree on a nothing map. There's no need to try to load it into, oh, hey, what's the progress of your map? Let's go ahead and get that over here so we can do testing. No, there's no point in doing that. So we just take a demo map and we just get in there, walk around, check that individual feature, make sure it's working as intended, and then go from there. So there's really nothing that I can say, hey, look at this. This is shiny and new. This is awesome. You know, it's not like I can sit there and flash a screenshot out there and say, oh, look at this. This is awesome. You know, I don't really have anything like that that I can, you know, sneak in and say, well, I really would like to showcase this. And, you know, yeah, I just don't have any content that I can show you guys right now that is, hey, this is awesome. Please take a look at that. And I would never tease anybody with, you know, sliding screenshots in or out or anything like that. That's just not me. What else we got? Any more questions? Yeah, the assets, whatever you download them, you download, and they suggest that you download Shinbi first. The reason why they suggest that is because Shinbi comes with, and they all come with all the animations, but Shinbi is the only one that came with the animation blueprint and an actual character blueprint. And you can quickly just grab Shinbi and just hop in there. Hey, I'm Shinbi. I can walk around. Yes, you can walk around and be saying, I'm a pretty girl. I'm a pretty girl. So yeah, you can be running around as Shinbi in seconds after popping it in there. Like, oh man, this is awesome. So you go ahead and you grab Twin Blast. Okay, I want to be able to go around and start shooting stuff. And you load up Twin Blast and you hop there in the game and you start looking at the files and you're like, where the hell is this blueprint? Or yeah, like Tereth or any of them, and they just don't have it. And then with the turrets, man, awesome. They got the character, you got all the animations, you got the animation blueprint. What the hell's the blueprint that goes with it? It's nice having the animation blueprint to go with it. That's helpful. But it's not like it's a standard turret that you just plop on the ground and whenever you get within a certain range, the turret will turn and face you. Well, yeah, that's what it's supposed to do, but these turrets are a bit more complex. So it has to sense that you're nearby. It's going to turn towards your direction, aim up and down, left and right, and rotate. And then as it's getting ready to fire, it's got a whole set of animations dictated for that. Yeah, with all the characters that you download, they all have. I don't have any of them in this project because that's not what I'm working on. They all have all of the bones are set. They're all of the additional sockets that they all need. They're there, which is cool. I mean, little things like whenever you're on Shinbi and you get her correctly set up, when she does her intro thing on the first part of the map, to be able to get that little emitter of the heart that comes out from her hands, there's actually a socket there you can attach that emitter to. So yeah, I mean, there's cool things like that. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that the towers in general. It's not like I could just go into them and they already had everything pre-made, and that was just an example. Um, the only one that came with a character blueprint and the animation blueprints was the Shinbi character. Everything else you're gonna have to do some work, and it's kind of good and bad. Um, yeah, I mean, importing FBX is a whole different ball game. We can look into that. There's plenty of good videos on YouTube about importing the characters. Yeah, I started looking at the different towers, and you look at them and you just fall in love with those towers, man. oh my god, it comes up and then it kind of does its idle animation of rotating back and forth, scanning for a target. And then whenever it fires, the gun moves and it has the destruction and death animations. Oh man, it's so awesome. And you get excited, and all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I got to make all this work. So there's a lot going on with those turrets, a lot more than what you would expect. I get it, don't get me wrong, but yeah. Yeah, that's the thing is, if all the stuff came with the animation blueprints and the character blueprints, then anybody could have just taken those assets, popped together a map, thrown all the assets on it, and been able to play a game in an afternoon. And kind of good and bad. And on the bad side is, or the good side is, whatever, if all those characters we downloaded from the marketplace that were free, they're awesome, I love them, but if they all came with their own character blueprints and animation blueprints and all that, and all we had to do was create a map and start putting in the characters, anybody over the course of a weekend could be able to pop together a game. But just think of how many people would actually then be putting it onto YouTube and then putting it onto Steam. And the topic that I got into earlier was the fact that there was close to 900 games put on Steam last month alone, and 80% of them failed to generate enough revenue to pay somebody minimum wage for an entire month over the period of a quarter. Most games don't make enough money to cover anything. Exactly. If you want it to be good, you got to do work. You got to put some work in. And I'm not afraid to do any work, but I just don't want the community to think, well, you're not doing anything. But yeah, everything we're doing right now is behind the scenes. So good things are coming. Like I said, we'll try to get a playable something together and keep teasing you guys a little bit here and there. Yeah, a lot of the games that get put out on Steam are just that. They're slapped together assets that somebody quickly made over the course of a weekend or 2 weekends, and like, hey, I made a game. Yeah, I do that all the time. I will go through, start from nothing, create a basic playable game to where, I get the concept out. It's playable. The pool game is a good example of that. I slapped together a couple BSP geometries, created a couple BP actors for the pool balls, and had a playable pool game in an hour. The downside of it is it was so stupid and fun at the same time that I ended up playing the damn thing for 3 hours. Yeah, no, right away. That's not what I'm saying, but you know better than that. So yeah, I I look at all these games that go on Steam, and I go through their store, and I look at some of them, and you wonder, what were they thinking? What is the point of this game? And I see some of them, and I look at them, but the whole point was going over some of the stuff that was being said in another YouTuber's video, and the point that I don't want to fit into that category. I don't want to just spit out a game that's just slapping together assets, and I don't want to put out a piece of garbage. For those of you guys that like want to know about importing FBXs and things like that, I highly recommend you you check out the Virtus tutorial, the Virtus stuff on YouTube. I like Virtus's content. There's a lot of really good YouTubers out there that create tutorial, and I don't want to say, well, you only have to watch this guy because everybody else, not everybody else is bad, but I found that the Virtus tutorials were probably some of the best. They're easy to follow. He doesn't treat you like you're stupid because you don't know something. He doesn't assume that you don't know anything. He just shows how to do things in a way that is easy to follow along, and most people can watch his videos and pick right up on it. And I say, if you go through his video or anybody's tutorial videos and you don't get it right, delete it, start from scratch. Don't try to fix it. Completely delete it. Go back, start from ground zero all over again because you missed something. If it's not working, you missed something. Sometimes it's so simple that you're looking at a blueprint and you're like, oh, why isn't it working? Oh, well, I forgot to connect this to there. Duh, that's why. Sometimes it's that easy to find a mistake, but you know what? I also say that, you know, he has a FPS tutorial series, RPG tutorial series. I say if you want to learn how to make, the basics of a game, do them both. Do them separate, but do the RPG tutorial first. Go from start to finish. Follow every video to the letter, and go back and make sure that everything that he did in the video, you do in the video, and that you understand what you're doing with it, and that it all works at the end of that video. And with that being said, also, when you get done with it, you'll have a fun game to play with. But then I recommend you take and you completely delete that as well. Delete it. Don't try to spice it up and make it cooler. Don't try to add content. Just delete it, start from scratch all over again, and build it from the ground up. The first time you go through it, what's going to happen is a lot of times you're just going to be watching the screen. Okay, I've got to put this box in, and I've got to connect this line to that line. You're just tracing. You're not really creating. So by the second time you actually go through the series, you're like, oh yeah, I remember this, and you're actually doing things that he's doing on the screen, or the tutorial author is actually doing on the screen. And yeah, you'll get ahead of them a little bit, but you're like, oh yeah, I remember how to do that. And you're actually learning the stuff as you go. And learning's a good thing. Learning's awesome. So I'm going to, again, get ready to close this video out here in just a few moments. But I'm going to make sure that everybody knows that every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless there's something that's happened that prevents it. The normal plan is to Wednesday 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is for me to do a live stream that is based on the current project that is being undertaken by Buffalo Bart Gaming. So you can get your content updates from these videos. You can catch a live stream, you can come in, you can ask questions, and I will answer pretty much every question you throw at me. And if it's something that's, I can answer, I will. If there's something that I may not be able to answer, then okay, we'll go as we can. But just know that with Buffalo Bart Gaming and with the project that we're working on, things are smooth, things are running outstanding. We're making some really good progress. It's just that most of the progress that's actually being done is being done behind the scenes, so I don't have all that much pretty stuff to actually show you. So I mean, if I had more to show you that was being worked on, then I would be glad to show you. There's things like the menu is being worked on, the content for this and that, and there's so much little stuff that's going on behind the scenes. So the turrets, the minions, the AI behavior trees, there's just all these little things that are going on that really, each person has their own task that they're doing, and they can stay focused on that task to get it done and get it right. And when those are actually finished, they're put into the main project. But as for a full playable game, there's nothing I can show you right now that's gonna showcase where we are because of all the internal building and structuring. I mean, I'm working specifically on core elements, the stuff that you'll probably never ever see, but that are vital for making the actual game run. Among the projects that I've got going on is I'm rewriting some of the network stuff for the multiplayer. One of the current issues that we're running into is, and it's not going to be an issue later down the line, but for right now for testing, we're utilizing a Steam architecture in advanced sessions, the advanced Steam sessions, so that we can use some of the functionality of Steam. But what's happening is, even here in North America, all of us on the East Coast can jump in and play together, but somebody on the West Coast, they're on a different server or a different regional server for Steam, they can't actually join in and play. So we're going to try to get around that, and I've got some awesome developers that are part of this team that are in other countries, and they can't join us either, and it sucks. I can't even play with a couple of guys on my team that way until I actually change this code around a little bit to bypass the region spanning of the way it works. Later on down the line, I would like that to be a thing, because if we're going to be based off of Steam, then I want guys on the North American server on the East Coast to be playing with guys on the East Coast where they're going to get a better ping. And if you're on the West Coast, you're going to be on a West Coast server, so you're going to get a better ping. But I would like to bridge the gap a little bit here and there whenever possible. Not saying I want somebody from the Asia server on the EU server, or anybody from the EU on the North America or whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I want to bridge the gap a little bit as possible. But it's nice to be able to separate everybody to get a better region on, or a better ping. Yeah, and you can change your download region for Steam and play together. But my code is already set up in a specific way that I just have to define what's actually doing what it's doing and doing it wrong. Primarily, what I'm trying to do is make sure that it's pulling the your Steam username and avatar is an important factor. It's also going to have some other things that are stored into the save system, so that whenever you actually log into a game, you don't have to start from scratch every time. But then again, also, if somebody ends up getting VAC banned, we need to be able to know if that account's legit or not, because there is going to be some anti-cheat features being put in as we go. And yeah, and that's true too, and that's what I kind of figured, that it was based on the Steam App ID, and there will be a Steam App ID purchased very soon. The fun factor thing is, when you're working on like an Unreal Engine 4 game, you're building with multiplayer, and you've got Steam running in the background. Whenever you launch it out to play it, it shows that you're playing a game called Space War. So I have one of my friends who doesn't know anything about Unreal Engine 4. He's like, "What in the hell is Space War? I see you playing this stupid game Space War all the damn time. What is it? I can't find anywhere to download it. I go to the page on Steam and I can't find any information on it. And what's so good about this game, and why can't I play it?" And I had to break it down and explain it to him, but I probably should have screwed with him a little bit first. I'm like, "Oh man, this is such an awesome game. You really need to get this game. What, you can't find the download link? Oh, I don't know. Maybe you got a problem with your Steam account or something." Just kind of mess with them. But far be it from me to actually mess with any of my friends or pick on anybody. I would never do that. I'm rolling my eyes really sadly right now. If anybody has any interest in this thing that I'm using in this on the screen right now, and what it is, and if you want to maybe see a tutorial video on how I actually made it, it's not like this is a highly classified device that I wouldn't be showing if it was something that I was worried about. But essentially all it is, like I mentioned earlier, it's a tool that you can use while you're roaming around. And say if you're setting up a turret and you know that you need a 5,000 radius or whatever, and you want to see that, okay, if somebody walks along this shadowed area of the map, as an example, and say that's a path, are they going to be in range of this turret, or will they be able to go by it? Well, if they're within 2,500 units, then they're in range, so I can actually see, okay, that's not a problem, that's not a problem. But if they're way over there on the other side of the map, no target in range. Okay, so it'll tell you if they're in range or not, little things like that. I'll try to pack as much information gathering as I can into this tool. So if you guys want to see a either a live stream or a video based on creating this, I'd be glad to do it, because I plan on adding as many features as I can to this little thing, and it'll be run off of its own separate player character. So whenever you actually go into your map that you want to use and you want to test it out, all you'd have to do is select your game mode override, make sure it's set to third person, and pick out your default pawn class, and then go right into it and say, okay, I want to use the dev character or whatever. So yeah, I like the possibilities of what I can do with it, because right now it's using a line trace system to do what it's doing, and if you're not familiar with line traces, you really need to look into it, because whenever you're setting up an item like, okay, I want to operate this switch with the character, I can target it, I can see that it is a switch. But if you want it to only activate whenever you're within a certain distance from it, you can set your distance. Well, how close do I want that character to be to interact with that button? Well, right now I'm at 426. That's too far away. 267. No, that's too far away. 135. I want you to be about here. So, like, okay, that's a 117. So you can say, okay, I want your character to be within 100 units away from the switch to be able to then have access to utilize that switch. So a tool like this will come in quite handy for guys that are making maps, setting up things like features to their, like switches, doors, things of that nature. If you're testing, like, okay, whenever I shoot this bot, if I shoot him here, what's it actually hitting? Well, that's a default physics material it's registering. You can see the red line going in and then a green line behind it. What the red line is the path of the projectile. The green means that it has passed through something, and this is what's going to happen to it after it's passed through. So it's still possible to actually say, okay, I want to ignore this character. So if there's two players back to back and somebody's hiding behind another character, you could set up your projectile, your weapon system to actually shoot through and penetrate through a character. So that's cool too. Check your physics material, your socket names, your bone names, your coordinates and your location on the map, the name of what you're actually hitting. See, I'm hitting dummy 2, hitting wall 9, right arm static mesh, a thing on the map, a big box, you know. So yeah, I think what I can do is I'll go ahead and I'll set up an actual video on it. And if you guys just want it to be a video, that's cool. If you want it to be done as a live stream, that way you can ask, hey, well, what about this feature or what about that feature? We can discover it together and add more features as we go. And, you know, since you'll have ability to watch what I'm doing, you can see all of the stuff that I'm putting into it. And it's not that complicated. You know, setting up the camera, setting up the widgets, setting up the views and so forth. As you can tell, whenever I go into play mode, I'm actually in a third-person template, but I'm actually in a first-person view, and I can move my mouse around, and actually my character moves as well. So that works nice and neat. So that's the way I prefer to have my view set up for this particular situation, so that I can actually do that. I mean, technically speaking, if you wanted to, you could create it as, you know, floating pawn instead, but I like to be able to walk up to something and, like, getting distances. I want to be able to get a distance to target, so I know that I need the distance away to make my collision or whatever to trigger an item. Alright guys, well, I'm going to start wrapping this up, and I thank everybody for watching, and if you've got any questions, feel free to drop by the Discord. But if I don't answer you to a Discord message, well, just don't send me a Discord message. You can actually come in, get the link to my Discord from here, and you can drop questions into the public lobby, and somebody will get to you as quickly as possible. We'll try to get your questions answered. But if you send me a private Discord message, there's a good chance that I'm probably not going to get back with you. And if I do, it may take a day sometimes, because I do get a lot of questions. I do get a lot of messages. And if I'm actually working on something for the game or for whatever project or whatever, if I'm working, then I actually have to stop working every time somebody sends me a question. And if I do that, as the example, I spent 20 hours in front of this computer one day, 22 hours, and actual work being done in Unreal Engine 4 maybe accounted for a total of 3 hours over 22 and a half hours. The rest was spent talking to people and asking questions. You're welcome, and thank you guys for tuning in. And Vicious, I promise I'm not ignoring your issue. I just have been really, really tied up. So we'll try to help you out a little bit. I hesitate to showcase anything on fixing Paragon stuff when my team is actually using that stuff. So I don't want to like openly be giving out my code and that kind of stuff. So hopefully you'll understand on that. But I'll try to help you out with what I can. But it doesn't seem good to start giving out information on how to fix something that we're working on. Alright, well, guys, thanks for watching. Like I said, if you got questions, just pop them into my my Discord public lobby. I try to get back to the comments on YouTube, but then again, I respond faster on Discord because somebody else may be able to jump in and answer your question as well. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you soon, and thank you for watching. Way too many windows open. I have at least 5 windows open on my left monitor, so I have to scroll around to find which one to use. See you guys. Love you.